So basically, it snowballed, and we now have a full Discord full of Linux VTubers. Before, there used to be a lot of things when it was like starting out, like there wasn't that many. But
Mhm,
now it's kind of like people are like, "Oh, I don't want to use Windows anymore. Can
mhm,
you help me out?" And there's even some people who aren't even VTubers in there that kind of just started using Linux as well.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, because I remember last time I think you had just basic. I think the guide had been up for a while, maybe a couple of months at that
Yeah,
point, but it was
like
still,
2 or 3 months. Yeah.
yeah, but it still really didn't have that much going to it just yet. I remember it being
Now it's
very,
got yeah.
it being very like so curated to your setup, and there still being a lot of things that were like missing outside of that.
Yeah, there was like a lot missing out of that, and then I started having people help me, like Ren and other people as well. So like it's definitely like became a lot bigger than what I thought it was going to be,
Mhm,
and
mhm,
people are like actually benefiting from it.
mhm, mhm, mhm. For anyone who I guess doesn't know why you swapped to Linux, just tell people that, and then I guess I don't know. We'll work out where we're going as we go.
All right, so like one of the main reasons why I ended up swapping to Linux to begin with is basically how Microsoft is handling their system because I started seeing telltale signs of them, basically having an overall bad OS. And I've even explained this before in like videos I've made that they started to say, "Oh, we're going to release Copilot," and I'm like, "Well, this isn't like the this isn't oh my god this isn't like the best like decision that they're going to make 'cause it's basically spyware."
Hmm.
Now they are getting to the point to where the AI that they put into their system has basically been a part of the system now instead of being in like an add-on.
Mhm, mhm.
So like people can disable it, but you're not really gonna get rid of it. Because I've seen some videos of people trying to like remove it, and all of a sudden they're locked out of their computer. They can't get into it. Something breaks. It's not good.
Well, not just
And
that, Windows has a habit of when people disable stuff after system
yeah,
updates, sometimes it just comes back on.
yeah. There's also that too. I mean, that's always been the thing since like Windows 7, probably even before that.
Mm. Well,
That
and I know
like you
definitely a lot
gotta
of the data collection stuff that came in with 8. That was a big deal. Every other
yeah, the
update, it would just
telemetry.
re-enable every single toggle.
Oh yeah, it definitely would do that. And a lot of people are just getting tired of it because people would like start streaming and all of a sudden Windows update or they get a random crash or it just doesn't it doesn't do it for people anymore. Like before like you have like Windows 7, Windows 10. Yeah, Windows 10 probably wasn't the best OS, but it wasn't the worst one either. Now Windows 11's kind of fully solidified to the fact that yes, it is a bad OS. Get the fuck off that.
I think I think with the direction that Windows 11 is going, or just Windows in general, a lot of people are now actually considering, and not just the fact that Windows is getting bad. It's
Yeah.
one thing if it's bad and there's no other options. People are starting to realize that there actually is another option. There is another thing you
Yeah.
can use, and it actually is pretty good. If things were happening like this maybe 7 or so years ago, when stuff Windows 8 and Windows 10 were happening, no one wanted to move because back then it was a much worse state. Like gaming wasn't really a thing. General
Yeah.
software availability was an absolute mess. Not like it could have been way worse, but still a mess
Yeah.
compared to what it is today. So now you actually have a legitimate alternative, and with Linux getting more popular, it's like a snowball effect. So things
Yeah.
that were missing most of the time are missing because there's not really either anyone who's ported it or any way to get it working. But as more
Or
and more
there's
people use it, it
yeah.
becomes more and more of a viable platform to try to solve these problems.
Or there wouldn't be any demand for it until there was.
Mm,
So like the call before the storm, like it legit was like the Steam Deck going,
mm,
"Oh, this can play. This isn't Windows. It can play games, huh?" And most people probably who bought the Steam Deck didn't even realize it was Linux.
mm,
So they go ahead and play their games, and they're doing just fine with it for the most part until they run into an anti-cheat game that doesn't supported it.
yeah,
But
yeah.
basically like it's getting to the point where people are like, okay, well, let me start like taking a look to see what the alternatives are. And I've done some digging before with like some people saying, oh, is anybody like actually using this? Like, yeah, people are using this
Mm,
without even letting me know. Like people, there are videos people like, oh, I'm starting out on Linux, I'm a VTuber, or I'm starting out on Linux, I'm just like doing this challenge kind of thing. Like you start seeing like ex-employees of Linux Tech Tips starting to do this now. Like people are starting to see the appeal of Linux now because they're like, huh, maybe I could go without League of Legends in Valorant for a better experience. So like, yeah, it's a lot, but it's not bad. It's actually like gotten progressively good. And I've also noticed like, yeah, there's like a whole lot of like Linux distributions, but there is, you know, a lot of people kind of just zeroing in about like 5 or 6, maybe 7.
Mhm.
And like the ones that I've mainly seen people kind of like latch on to lately is like Pika OS, Nobara, Cashy OS, Bazite, Linux Mint, and now Zorin OS because people are using that apparently. At least they downloaded a lot of it. I'm not sure how many ever actually are using it, but
Mhm.
um, we have at least 6 OSs where it's basically, you know, there's probably more, but I mean,
Well,
I guess
unfortunately, things like
Omarchy for
Fedora
people,
that
but
people will talk about as
yeah,
well. Like, not everyone's using a thing based on Fedora. Um,
yeah,
you mentioned CashOS. I would encourage people to stay away from Ubuntu unless they know what they're doing. Just because Ubuntu, like I often see these benchmarks from Phoronix, and it's like
yeah,
CashOS performs way better than other distros, and it's comparing it to Ubuntu.
yeah.
It compares it like Fedora and Ubuntu. It's like
I'd
half a
say,
percent better than Fedora and
yeah.
like 10% better than Ubuntu because Ubuntu is just shipping old garbage.
Yeah, Ubuntu is kind of this different, but like when you're starting somebody out, you kind of want them to get used to the OS
Mm,
first. Because like they're starting out from Windows, they don't know anything,
right.
and that's the whole point of like the VTuber guide. Like I want to make sure people are able to start look at the guide, make sure it's easy to read.
Mm,
I add resources that probably aren't directly related to VTubing, even though they can be used for VTubers.
mm, mm,
So like, you know, I want to make sure the experience is not going to be bad, and if they have issues, they can reach out to me to my Discord that I have. That's for like tech support.
mm,
So
mm,
like, and people have, and that's great. And it's also progressed to the point where the community in there has also started to help making videos as well. Because I've already made like a follow up to one video that, you know, you and me and a couple others that were in as well, like, you know, Vinny and Lace and Ren as well.
mm,
So like there was like a bunch of people on there, and there's probably gonna be another video later on. But um there's definitely like a lot of progression towards like the whole, oh, we're going to use Linux now, let's stop using this Windows
mm, mm,
OS because of the decisions they're making.
mm, mm. Yeah, I think it's honestly it's overall a good thing, regardless of whether people actually stick with Linux. At least
Yeah,
knowing that the alternative exists there, so that if things do get progressively worse, they know that there is a fallback there.
yeah. And if there's something that's progressively worse, like their OS, like say, let's take example of Ubuntu,
Mm,
some people didn't like snaps. Well, they kind of moved to like Linux Mint, they kind of moved to Fedora, Arch, other places
mm,
like, you know, you always have that option. You don't really have that option with Windows. You might have additions you can change to, but those are progressively becoming harder to change to because when Windows 10 LTS loses its support and then Enterprise loses its support, what are you going to do? You're going to use Windows 11? 'Cause that's the only thing that you can realistically do in a consumer market as far as like trying to get like actually updates for it. Now there are people who still are on Windows 7 and people are on Windows 10, of course, like they're never going to leave.
yeah, there are people that
But the
bring
ones that
there
do,
are people that bring like patches over from the server version, and there's like a weird
yeah,
community of Windows hacking that people do this in, but most people are
yeah,
not doing that.
they even do it to an extent for XP systems, which is crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, which is kind of good because like if you have a community backing it and Microsoft's no longer doing it, that's the equivalent of hosting a Monster Hunter private server, which I might be doing.
We'll get to Monster Hunter
Uh,
later.
oh yeah. But yeah, it's definitely gotten to that point, and just like a couple days ago, we like got iPhone tracking working for VTube Studio,
Hmm, hmm,
and it might end up progressively going on to other programs too.
hmm, hmm,
I had to test it, I had to update it. I went ahead and like got it all up there, and thanks to Himmelin, since they're able to code it, it's like something was people were asking for. Like when the guide was originally there, like a couple days afterwards, like probably like around the month,
hmm, hmm,
somebody was like, "Oh, is there any solution to the USB iPhone tracking problem?" And that was an issue that was on there for like months
hmm, hmm,
until it eventually got figured out. Like, yeah, now it's possible. Now it's considered a system service through System D.
hmm.
Um, So now, like, if you just install it through either the PPA or you build the package, it will go ahead and launch in the background. And what you would do is you would just go ahead and enable USB tethering on your iPhone, and then on the YouTube Studio, you would have to actually go onto the wireless part of it and make sure it's got the right port.
Mhm.
Because basically, what it's doing, it's not really a wireless connection; it's looking for a port
Mhm.
because it's trying to communicate with the phone. And then once it does that, it just works.
Right.
And you don't, and the iPhone doesn't even have to be online.
Mhm.